our Thursday, July 11th, 2024 Affordable Housing Committee meeting. I will let our Vice Chair call us to order, please.
Am I going to be vice chair?
Yes, ma'am.
I call the meeting to order, and turn it over back to you, Victoria.
All right, it is 10:12, our meeting has been called to order. I am going to deviate from our agenda just a little bit to introduce our new member to the Affordable Housing Committee, Town Council Member Emily Burden. She is taking the spot of Councilman Dan Wood. So Dan Wood was up for re-election in June, and Emily has sat in. Dan has other things, he's busy, he's out there. So Emily is now on board with us. So welcome, Miss Emily, welcome on board. We have Meg James as well that's not in, but we will now go ahead and go to our roll call and then get back on set. Town Council Member Fred Hamilton, Emily Burden,
Here.
Doug McGill,
Here.
Gwen Chambers,
Here.
Denolis Polite, here, Greg Staples,
Here.
and Meg James. All right. I will go through our agenda. Next will be our adoption of minutes from June 6th, our previous meeting. We would need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second. Next, after our adoption of minutes, is public comment, but we will fall back to our public comments. We do have some guests in the audience, and we will circle back. Next on our agenda is old business, which there is no old business, so we will jump down to new business, which is our fiscal year 2025 neighborhood assistance budget update. 2025 fiscal year rolled in last week, Monday. The budget for the Neighborhood Assistance Program for fiscal year 2025 has been approved at $400,000. The final budget was approved at the June 11, 2024 Town Council meeting. Beaufort Jasper Housing Trust Fund awarded the NAP with $144,000 that will be placed in the home repair portion of the budget. Funds will be available at the start of the fiscal year. 3 homes have started receiving repairs at a total of $31,040. 9 homes are in the queue to have contractors visit for estimates. Those repairs consist of roofing, flooring, and bathroom repairs, and an additional 3 homes will receive tree service. Any questions on the memo? Any questions on the memo? All right, no questions. As always, I give you guys the actual Excel sheet so you can see how I see it in Munis when I go in. So being that we are just getting started for the new year, let's go ahead and bring all the lines down. So task, home repair / rehabilitation. Home repair, which is our roofing, our interior repairs, our ceiling, our flooring, all of that falls under home repair. So you can see our approved budget for that line was $350,000, which the transfer in is our grant from the Beaufort Jasper Housing Trust. So that updated budget for home repairs is $494,000. $31,040 has already been paid out, so that leaves our budget for home repairs at $462,960, and that is 3 homes coming out of there. Property maintenance, abatement, demolition of unsafe structures, property cleanup, septic pump out, private road repair, E911, and tree mitigation all follow suit on those lines there. Any questions? I did go through that kind of fast because we've seen this before, but being that we're starting out new, just want everybody to be on the same page.
Did I see there's 7 applications outstanding right now?
I'm sorry.
Did I see that there's 7 applications outstanding?
There are 9 applications on my desk that we're working on.
Okay, how long does the application process take?
So the applicant will request, they come in, I help them fill it out, they get it back to me. Once I get all the proper information that's needed from the applicant, such as income and all that, I then send it over to LOCOG, Low Country Council of Governments, and they do our income verification. They usually take about 2 to 3 days for a turnaround. Once we get that back in, then I set up a go out with the building inspectors, and they've been extremely busy. But I set up a meeting with the building inspectors. We go out to the home. The homeowner will then walk us through everything. This is what I need, this is what I need, this is what I need. Then I'll send out the contractors. So we do have to have 3 bids from different contractors, and we have been getting that because, as I've been telling you guys, different contractors have reached out. So we have have about 3 or 4 more than we did last year to do work for us, which is a plus. So to answer your question, from application start date to final inspection, about a month or longer. Yeah, about 2 months.
Under emergency circumstances, like, a tree falling.
No, that is emergency circumstances. A tree falling, that is emergency where, go ahead and give me your application. I need to put my eyes on it to make sure that it did happen, and then we'll go from there. Emergencies such as our septic pump out, which we don't stop, even though fiscal year is over, we don't stop. We just keep rolling with that because that's a sanitation issue. So emergency will be the tree. Septic, we can actually go to the house and water is pouring in. We'll put a tarp. But if it's really, really bad and it needs to be completed, then we'll go ahead and do the roof. But if it's a tarp can handle it, until we have the funds, then we'll just go ahead and do it. But we just did a round of applause because we had the funds, so we can go ahead and get it done. All right, so right now, everything's gonna be emergency.
So those 9 that were on hold are ready to go?
Yeah.
Going through. Yeah.
So we are ready, I am ready. It was downtime for me for June. But now, it was downtime for me in June, but now we're hitting the ground running.
And we're good on contractors and everything?
Yes, I have 2 additional contractors.
Okay.
So right now, we're knocking at 4.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've been busy. So that's that. Any questions? Any more questions?
Just one, how many did we finish out last year? How many homes did we?
45. And that is some repeat in there with the septic issues, but altogether, 45 invoices paid, whether it's a repeat septic or anything interior, exterior, 45.
That's great.
Are we gonna do more informationals about the applications are now open again and we have funds, so submit applications?
We can, I can do a blast, I can get approval from Kevin and see if we can do a blast through our social media page, but
Okay.
even if there's no funds available applications.
I know,
So,
but-
no, I get it, yeah, no, I get it, we can definitely do that and put it out and just get more paper for the copy of our applications, but that will be no problem, that's fine. Anything else?
No, I have something separate.
Okay. If there are no questions with the budget, I am going to scroll us back to the agenda. We do have some updates for a couple of things. The housing incentives is what Councilman Hamilton has been pushing. He said he would be here. So Town of Bluffton Employee Home Buying Program, which Stephen Steese brought to, Town Manager Stephen Steese brought to us last month, with the Town Council on Tuesday. And I'm gonna pass that over to.
Yeah, I've got that part of the
Okay,
presentation, we'll
got it.
discuss that.
All right.
First off, good morning, everyone. Kevin Eicher, Director of Growth Management. I'd like to first acknowledge we do have representatives from the Housing Trust Fund here. They have the check. We're going to wait until Councilman Hamilton can show up, and then that way we can get everybody in the picture if you guys are okay. Sure. Just hanging out for a little bit. Definitely appreciate that. Thank you. Let me get to my presentation here real quick. Right. Okay. So this is meant to be a workshop. We'd like to, like for you guys to provide some feedback, any insight that you have. This is meant to be productive. The ultimate goal is for us to look at, first off, we're going to look at the existing programs that we have in place, as well as potential programs that we could then bring forward. The goal is we workshop, scrub it here. Staff, we take this back. Get this information put together, and then ultimately get in front of town council with another workshop of possible incentives that could move forward, either regulatory or economic incentives. So our goal today is to just kind of have an open dialogue. Please, please, please stop me if you have questions as I'm going through this presentation. A couple of them. This is what the town already offers. So we do have a density bonus for rental or owner-occupied housing. This only applies for properties that are part of that, we call it the 8% of the town. So This is it's an incentive that is in our Unified Development Ordinance. Typically, it's for properties that are zoned residential general, which currently allows for 4 units to the acre. What we have is you can do a density bonus. It's a sliding scale. As you can see on there, a great example is if you own 1 acre of land, currently you're allowed to put 4 units, potentially 4 units on that lot. If you come to the town and say that, hey, I would like to get a density bonus, I want to do one of these units as an affordable unit, I can get 1 more unit from there. Another example is if you have, good morning, Councilman Hamilton.
Good morning, Fred.
Good morning.
We've just started on our incentive program, so why don't we do this? I want to hit pause. Now that Councilman Hamilton is here, I'd like to have the Housing Trust come up if you want to say a few words, and then we can do our check presentation with everyone. So that way you guys can go about your day as well. So.
I have to take them on a.
We're hanging out.
Oh, you are? Okay, well, we'll still do it. How about that? While everyone's fresh. You want to do that? Okay. So if you want to come up?
Sure.
Good morning. My name is Paul Hicks. This is Jennifer Tuckweiler. We're representing the Beaufort Jasper Housing Trust. As most of you know, the trust was formed to provide various grants to affordable housing throughout 6 municipalities and 2 counties. We matched that with some funding from the state. We're happy to tell you that we have approved your application. Vicki's hard work, you have to get a part of that, for a $144,000 grant. Those funds will be coming to you within the next 2 weeks. We have some regulatory things that we have to do before we can hand the money out. But we are happy to tell you that you are part of the inaugural grant making of the trust. We look forward in the future to providing more grants as we attempt to collect more funds, get more donors, work with the state. I will tell you that the trust also has applied to the state to be acknowledged as a sponsor for the home repair program, which would mean we would be working with the state as a conduit to you to provide funding for home repairs. There's a $20 million pot in Columbia that last year was used one time for 1 roof. The rest of the money is still there. The House has come over to the Housing Finance Agency and said, we'd like to see that money go out the door. And we'd like to make sure that it comes here to the county, to both counties, and to all of the recipients that are eligible. So with that, we'd like to present you with a rather large check, both in money and in size, of $144,000. We'd appreciate the opportunity to take a picture with you all so we can put it on our social media. I will tell you that our memo that we sent out in a press release inadvertently caused about 25 to 30 calls coming in for people who say, my roof is broken, my septic tank won't work, where do I get help? So we will refer those individuals who qualify here to you to try and help. With that said, I'd like to present the check. Congratulations.
Everyone will come down and we can all get a picture in the front. I'm leading the charge here, so we'll get everybody scrunched in. Everybody come on in.
And your vice chair?
Scrunch in, scrunch in, scrunch in.
Come close, I don't
Might
know.
have to move up.
Tough to get it.
Yeah, you might have to get it like at an angle, just so, this thing does not move, unfortunately, so. I'm gonna stand in the back here. I might not be able to be in the picture.
I got you.
Yeah, that's just, maybe your angle's better. It's really
You can
tough.
stand on the table.
I was thinking about
That would
standing
be
up.
something, wouldn't it?
Careful.
Oh, she's.
Oh.
She's gonna do it.
Which way, where are we looking
Where are
first?
we looking?
You look at her first. I'm not ready. I'm still trying to get.
I'm picking a lot here, so you can. Okay, look at me. I'm trying to get it. I think I can
Awesome.
edit out. Okay.
Very good. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Great.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Those funds will definitely be used. Our goal is to be as fiduciary as possible, so we look to make sure that we can incorporate the funds used through the Housing Trust Fund as well as our general funds as well. So we're excited to, I know that Vicki is definitely excited to spend some money, so. Back to Councilman Hamilton, I was saying at the start of this is a workshop opportunity for us to talk about current incentives that we have in place as well as possible incentives moving forward, both from a regulatory standpoint, with codes that we can change, and an economic standpoint. So meant to have an open dialogue, get some feedback from the committee. Staff will go back, work on kind of polishing it off, and then bring it to town council as a workshop to get more feedback to how we want to move forward with some of these items. As we were stating, the first one is the density bonus. That's where if you have if you live in a residential general district, you're allowed 4 units per acre. If you decided to say that you wanted to have one of them as a possible affordable unit, that you can come to us. We've got a process to review it, to confirm. There would be some deed restrictions on that, just to clarify how it's going to move forward. And then you would, in essence, be able to have 5 units versus the 4 that's allowed by code. So we do have an individual private property owner that is going through this process right now. It's a small lot. It's been some challenges, but they were able to figure it out. We're able to, in essence, subdivide the lot, and they're hopefully be able to move forward with providing some affordable housing. The other one is the Towns Project out on Bay River Road, the 1095, what we used to refer to as now the May. That project is a 1.78 acre site, and we're able to actually get 12 units out there. So we're very, 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 very close. We've already had, as everyone knows, the groundbreaking, and we're just finishing out the final encroachments. Yes, sir.
So the bonus is in fact an increase in density.
Correct.
That's what the bonus is.
That's the bonus, yes. We have here, we talked about the 4 manufactured homes per lot policy. Again, that's 4 units per acre that we allow. Typically, if you're doing a stick-built home, you would subdivide the lot up in order for each home to be on its own personal lot. We do have a policy where if you have manufactured homes and you have only one lot, that you can put multiple manufactured homes on that one lot, as long as you're still meeting the density requirements that we have in place. Typically, that most places won't allow for that. Due to the large number of heirs properties that we have, there is difficulty for people to get construction loans for stick-built homes, but manufactured homes can be placed on the property and also removed, so that gives the ability there to move forward with that. Other things that we have is we do allow for accessory dwelling units in all of our districts. So that's an opportunity for someone to be able to rent that out if they decide to construct one on their property. And then also you are allowed 1 short-term rental by right per property. Some of the other efforts that we have, specifically in Old Town Historic District, we do allow for manufactured home replacement. So there is a clause that if you have a manufactured home in the historic district and it's older, it needs to be replaced, we do have provisions that allow you to remove the current manufactured home and replace it with a new model, versus forcing people to, once you remove it, it's not allowed to come back. So we do have that provision. As we talked about earlier, is the home buying assistance program that the town manager came to you, I believe that was last month, to give you information on that. That went in front of town council 2 days ago, and a memorandum of understanding was approved, and with specifically with Community Works. So they will be the group that will spearhead the project. So individuals will then, as they start the process, would then go through Community Works, and then they would be able to handle all of the paperwork. Specifically, that's just for the 29910 and 29901 zip codes. And it's based off the individual employee's income, not necessarily the entire house income. So it gives you the ability to, in essence, have probably a little bit larger loan versus if you had dual income, that might push you over a certain percentage of the AMI that actually reduces the potential amount that a loan could be. So that's why it's just triggered on that one employee's income.
Kevin?
Yes, sir.
Question, what's Community Works?
Community Works is a company that actually Beaufort County used to start the Regional Housing Trust Fund. So they're based out of Greenville, I believe so. And they assist with affordable housing on multiple scales. Sorry, go ahead, please.
They are a community community development financial institution. So essentially, it's like a bank, but is funded through grants and other sources.
Thank you. We do have other components that are in place. So specifically for, and this came through a couple years ago, where if in the planned unit developments, if you have if you're looking to annex into the town, or you're going to come in front of town council to request additional units through development agreements, you would, anything that you do would be required to have at least 20% of them to be set aside for affordable workforce housing. So an example of this is St. Gregory the Great. A couple of years ago, they annexed into the town, and part of that process, the allocation of dwelling units that was given specifically for the church and their tract of land, at least 20% of those units do have to be affordable. They have not moved forward with any type of development at this time. However, it's on the books, and they are fully aware that that they are required to do that if there's any movement there. The other item is, we talked about our project that we have right now, the May. What I did here was that we have other projects that are slowly moving forward. That would be the 115 Bluffton Road and 184 Bluffton Road. And then these are part of the request for proposals that we worked through with State of Mind Partners. So right now they're working on the May, and once that gets, hopefully as that starts to get under construction, we will then, and we are already starting to move forward with these other properties to work with them for the construction of affordable housing. Some other possibilities that we have, and this is where we'd like to maybe slow down to talk to you guys about this. We have to find alternative ways in order for us to make it enticing for developers to construct affordable housing. If you really think about it, the physical cost to construct a building is the same no matter what. It costs the same amount for materials as it would for, if you're doing it as affordable or you're doing it as just a regular market rate. You have to provide incentives in order for them to be able to lower certain costs to be able to make potentially more units. So some of the ideas that we've started to come up with is we can adjust the development standards, and what that means is that you can increase density by changing the building height. If that is something, and again, these are just ideas thrown out there, it doesn't necessarily mean any, all, or some of them could move forward. One of them is the building height. Depending on where the property is zoned, there's specific height limitations. That's something that could be increased. Other options include your setbacks, where we have some districts that have it has a 40 or 50 foot rear setback. So that means that your building can't be any closer than 50 feet. So if you reduce that setback, in essence, you're giving more space to allow for buildings to be developed. The footprint, that's another one. We could either limit or we could expand footprints for different buildings. Now, when you think about that, you also have to think of the character. Like, how is that going to? Everything has repercussions, and it's a domino effect. So you think through that, and you're like, well, how is that going to look? Will that change the character of a neighborhood? It's quite possible. So those are the factors that you have to think about as you're moving through this. Parking, that's another one where right now we require 2 parking spaces per unit. That's something that if you were to come in and let's say you wanted to do rental community, and by having 2 parking spaces, that takes up space. I mean, when you think about it, ground space, by reducing the requirement to only 1 parking space, or for a larger development, let's say 1.5 parking spaces, you're reducing down the amount of land that's needed for cars, which then frees up the land for building. Other things, we talked about the ADUs, those are the accessory dwelling units for some larger lots, potentially allowing 2 of them. That way that you could potentially restrict, one of the units. That way, as a property owner, you own your house, and then you put, 2 separate, smaller buildings on there, and then potentially restrict one of them, by allowing, by the town allowing you to have those two units as opposed to just 1 unit. You're like, hey, we're gonna have to restrict this, and you're gonna, whatever the provisions are, you'd have to follow that. So if you're renting that out, you're renting that unit out at a lower cost for individuals, again, making it affordable. The manufactured home policy, that's something that we could look into. I know that, we could potentially do a family compound where you're allowed to potentially have more units for manufactured versus stick builds. That's something to look at. The other one, let's see, on small scale developments where we could look to incentivize the permit fees, design fees, if the town was interested in actually creating shop drawings. When I say shop drawings, referring to like building plans of buildings that we know, like this building plan has already been, an architect has designed this, engineers have designed this, all of the costs that's associated with the fees for these professionals to create these documents, that the town does that, and then if someone comes in and is like, I'd like to use your plans. Well, that's something that we can then, we pull that plan off the shelf and say, here you go. Free of charge, it's already done. The work's already done. That's saving you money, which then brings that cost down, so that way they can then pass that cost savings on to renters or owners. So in the planning world, we always talk about the missing middle, and there's always jokes about that are always swirling around on Facebook. But the missing middle, as you can see, this is a great representation of where you have single-family detached homes. Takes up much more space, so it's not as economical, versus mid-rise and high-rise, which obviously Bluffton is nowhere close to doing that. So we always look at this missing middle. So when you kind of look through it, you'll see that you can do you can do like a duplex, a triplex, a quadplex. I've worked somewhere before that had quadplexes, and you wouldn't even know, just the design that they did, it just almost looked like duplexes, because every time you turned, all you saw were 2 units. So every time you turned around, it was like 2 units. Townhomes are in there. That's something that we try to incorporate into developments. And then you can get into the larger like mid-block buildings, and that's as you get higher up in that missing middle. So those are something from a regulatory standpoint that, in some of these single-family zoning districts, if we wanted to look to apply this, that is a possibility. This one right here is a project in Clarkston, Georgia, and Charlotte brought this to my attention, and I started looking into it, and it's a lot of work has to go into a project like this where they came in, they only had half an acre, and what they did, in essence, they were making these, I'm going to say, smaller homes. They're not tiny homes, these are just smaller units, and then they were able to, they were seeking out individuals, singles, seniors. These are not necessarily designed for a large family. Like my family, absolutely not. I've got 2 big boys, and there's no way that 4 of us are staying in a 500 square foot house. But there are individuals out there where a smaller unit is appropriate. And what this does, it's all on one lot. So each individual house, I think the way that they have set up is that they carve out, I believe they carve out the land under the house. So you in essence own the land, but then there's common open space that is owned by all. So that's a possibility. Now with that, it kind of breaks the rules of zoning, typical zoning codes. So that's something that would have, from a regulatory standpoint, we would have to create a code that would allow for this type of development. So again, it's something that gives another tool in the toolbox for the town as well as developers. So kind of moving on, we always use the term NOAH, which is the naturally occurring affordable housing. So we wanted to find out, what are some of the things that we can do to help keep people in their homes? Obviously, with the Neighborhood Assistance Program is a great opportunity where we're helping individuals to repair their homes. Some of the other items that we have, and I'm not fully versed in this one, but the homestead exemption, that's for individuals over 65, where it allows for the $50,000 of their fair market property value to be tax exempt, so it helps to cut down on the taxes. Other things are obtaining clear title for properties, and that's the heirs, dealing with heirs properties, where if you have, it's difficult to, for true ownership, being able to assist with getting that all cleared up. So that way individuals could either subdivide or potentially have the ability to do stick-built homes on their properties. Other things include a land lease for installation of manufactured homes. Again, we could look to, if someone wanted to come to the town and say that they needed some of the infrastructure to be installed. The biggest one is dealing with water and sewer. The water and sewer tap fees are really expensive, as well as other impact fees that are associated with units. So in essence, the ability for the town to do a buy down, so we would buy down on some of these utilities to make it more affordable for individuals to use their land. And then also is the subdivision of existing property. It gives the opportunity for additional housing or for family members. You could, in essence, create you could carve off lots, say you had a larger lot, and then you only wanted to carve off a small piece and you're selling it to a family member. That way, you could design it in such a way that they don't necessarily have to meet the same setback requirements, because when you carve off a lot, you then have to be able to have certain setback requirements for the placement of the building. There may be able to do provisions where you can carve off a smaller piece of the lot, and then you don't have to meet the same provisions that you would under a conventional zoning district. So some of the things, obviously we talked about consideration, is that home ownership versus rental. As you can see here, we pulled this stat that 36% of all U.S. homes are renters. So, do we want to look at potential rental assistance versus home ownership? Let's see, we have, the other thing is actually kind of do like a round table with home builders to say like, what do you need? Like what do you need from us to make it more enticing? The other thing is we put here to encourage and educate property owners on the use of housing vouchers. Now, the town does not do housing vouchers. That is handled through the Beaufort Housing Authority. But Beaufort Housing Authority has a wait list of individuals that are wanting to use housing vouchers. However, there's not enough properties that are willing to accept housing vouchers as a form of payment. So I think part of that is maybe working with the HA to educate property owners as to how that is beneficial to the entire community. And then just look on ways that we can continue to create more affordable housing. We're always open to hear suggestions. And that's one of the reasons why we're here today, for us to kind of just talk about it. So, with that, that's my presentation. I'm happy to open this up, talk about it, go back through any slides, any suggestions, things you say, yes, I think that's a good idea, or no, that's not a good idea. We'll take all this and then work on getting this in front of town council for a workshop to be able to truly start to move forward with some of these scenarios from a regulatory standpoint, being able to get it through the process to make it a code.
I like a lot of these ideas. I was wondering if it were possible, if I could, or we could digest it for a couple of days and go through it and make some recommendations.
Oh, absolutely. Happy to do that. What we can do is I can actually, we'll send out a copy of this presentation to everyone, just so that way you can write on it, scribble it up, and then if you like, or if you want, before you leave, we can go print out copies for everyone, and then that way you can have a copy and take with you.
Okay.
And then you can actually just, if you want to, in the next couple of days, if you want to give that back to us individually, what we'll do is we'll take all of your comments, questions, and then at the next meeting, we can just do a follow-up on what you have. So in essence, a continuation of this. And then I think that would be a great idea.
Okay.
I know it's quick, a lot of it on the fly.
Yeah, and
I'm the same way, I need to digest things.
Do we have like a audio of what you said? So we
Yes,
can-
yes, so this is recorded, and then it's streamed through the county channel. So we can definitely, once the link is live, we'll definitely send the link to you as well.
I have other ideas, I'm gonna let everyone else get a chance to speak.
Okay.
So, start that in what you got.
Thank you, Fred. One of the biggest issues in talking to some developers is getting sufficient land to do some of these things. And when we talk to developers, it's not just providing housing, can we get them sometimes just to donate land to us and give us an opportunity to maybe come up with our own plan of what to put there. That's the biggest issue I know of, is getting sufficient land for all this.
So one thing is town council has put in through the general fund is the purchase of land. And one of the things is either for open space, also for affordable housing. I don't know that number off the top of my head for this year's budget, but each year we have been putting money aside for the purchase of land for affordable housing. A great example is the 1095 property that we were able to purchase for affordable housing. So we're definitely doing that. And we have individuals that sometimes will come up and say, I've got a piece of land, are you willing to purchase it? So we are very active in that. And I'll have people contact me quite a bit, and then I'm working with the town manager to see if something does work out.
Yeah, people like Reed tend to be more landowners at times than they are developers. So I wonder if there's not a way to encourage him to acquire something for development at the same time to donate land to us to be able to do that. Anyway.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you, Kevin. This is a very comprehensive presentation. I think I had a lot of notes, but the one thing that really I had to zero in on is when we talked about the different communities or planned communities, like the May we had 30 years that it would expire as affordable housing. Has that been adopted for the May particularly? 30-year?
Well, for our project, yes, it is, that's part of the deed restrictions, so, that,
So
those
after 30
covenants.
years, they will not be,
Well, I feel like we actually extended it longer than that, but I'll find out about that one.
yeah, I hate to be a
I
broken
think we
record,
did
but
too.
I lived in a community where we had 30 years and the 30 years expired and now the people are, when I left 4 years ago, the people were, scattering, trying to find
Yes.
homes. So 30 years goes by quickly.
You are correct. And another example is the properties on Wharf Street, the Wharf Street redevelopment, which I believe they're coming up in about 8 years. So it was it was only a 2029. So that was a 20-year restriction, I believe. Councilman Hammond, if you remember that, that's correct. 20 years goes by pretty quick.
It does. Ask all the old people in the room. That's all I have.
When we talk about getting density bonuses, you might have said this at the beginning, but are we really just talking about that 8% that's not under development agreements?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
okay.
So now, I was also tell you this, there is a provision in the PUD development agreements that someone could come forward and there's if they were going to have affordable units, they could request additional units. To this date, no one has really come forward with trying to do that. We encourage it a lot. Every time we have developments that are coming in, we are encouraging affordable housing. We're encouraging and giving them, potential incentives. Unfortunately, from a process standpoint, the way that the codes are set up is that you would have to amend your development agreement, your legal binding contract with those individuals to allow for additional units that are then affordable. So no one is really taking us up on that offer.
So when we talk about potential land, it's really historic Buckeye and Simmonsville. For the most part.
Yes, for the most part, yes.
Kevin, these ideas or concept that you introduced today, is a lot of stuff to work through and get a better, clearer picture of how they work and where they work in other areas. So before we go to council for a workshop, I like to have a workshop just with the housing committee. I think we need to be able to give more clarity so they can understand the different scenario and have opportunity to share ideas with each other, or some may have experienced it in a different way. So that may be not a affordable housing meeting, but affordable housing meeting such as on the first Thursday of the month. Let's have it on just a call meeting where we consider the round table, pen and paper, and make that a consideration and judgment to what you are offering, and maybe even offer some more opportunities.
Absolutely.
And hopefully we can, Vicky can call around and get on others' calendars to see when that could be done expeditiously.
I'm looking at a calendar now, so we can tie it down when we have most of everybody, and I'll reach out to Meg. No need to take it outside here, we're already here.
So based on what I'm hearing from you, what we'll do is we'll take the information that we have. We can quickly get printed copies for you right now, give you an opportunity. We'd like to hear some of the feedback. Again, this is meant to be just like throwing it out there the first time. What are some of the things that you like? If there are things that you like or you don't like, What we'll do is we'll then take that information, we'll start to do some more research on other areas that have hopefully successfully done what we're looking to do. I think that's exactly what you're looking for. Examples of where it has worked in other places. And that way what we'll do is we'll come back to you with those examples showing, here's what they did, here's what they worked from. This is something that you like. We'll continue to work through it to see both, the success story of it, and then what steps did they have to take to get to that. In our world, that's the biggest part, is knowing all the steps that you have to go through to get to that. And then definitely, I'd love for this group to continue to give us the information, get us something that is to a point where we can then bring it in front of the town council to say that, we have the full support of the Affordable Housing Committee, and these are some of the things that we want to give to you to let us know, is this what you want us to do? And then when they, you give the blessing on it, we'll start moving forward with it.
Thank you for bringing this and working on this. You did it in a timely fashion. I'm impressed. So I'm asking the committee to do some of your own research or jot down what you think may be something that we can consider to make affordable housing toolbox more accessible. But today is a great start. Thank you for that. But that meeting doesn't have to be a 10 o'clock meeting. It doesn't have to be a 10 o'clock meeting.
Right, okay.
So we can fit everybody on the schedule. But I think that's going to be important for us to dive into this, because we definitely have to find ways to attract not only developers, but private landowners to say, it's worth my time and effort. It will be a win for the developer, landowner, as well as the town.
Absolutely. Also, this presentation, all this information, I'm not taking any of the credit. I'm giving the credit to Charlotte, who just left. And
She went to print out the package.
yes, so they're the ones that are definitely doing a lot of this work, a lot of the research. Obviously, I'm assisting, but they tend to put me up front to do the presentation portion of it. But they are truly the ones that are doing all the work. So I thank them for the amount of work that they put into this to make it to a point like this where we can have a great conversation. We've got our marching orders. So Charlotte's printing packets right now, so we'll bring them back over to you. Let's see here, I think, and we kind of we talked about it as well as the home buying program. And Annie is here, our director of HR. So that is moving forward. I don't know, besides just moving forward with the MOU, I think that's where we are right now.
We have, I will add one thing, and
Please.
that's, the only thing I want to say is thank you very much for your input. It's really, really, truly a help to our employees, and I've had such an outpouring of support from our employees that I'm so excited to offer this program to them. We have a lot of interest in it already, so I thank you very much for your valuable input. It's gone a long way. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that you know, Tuesday night, they did insert one of our suggestions, maybe a couple of them, but I think that was to incentivize those who were low AMI level to get more funding. So that was approved and passed by council.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. That's all we have from staff. So obviously, as of right now, our next meeting is scheduled for August 1st. And we're going to take back all this information. Definitely in the next couple of days, if you guys, if you need to scan it in, you want to take pictures of it, whatever you need to do to send back whatever you have. And if you find something else, you're like, hey, I found this, what about this? Is this an option? And we're happy to look into it. So, I believe with that, we have nothing else. Yes, sir. Great, thank you.
committee, I want to apologize for having a breakdown on my way here today, but I'm here. I didn't think I was gonna make it at all, but I apologize to Housing Trust Fund. Thank you for your presentation. And we look forward to working with you when you get some more money from the state. Thank you. Is there any closing ideas or suggestions from the committee?
With that being said, look for doodle polls so we can set our calendars all on the same date to go ahead and sit down and start jotting out ideas. And that is all that we have for the month of July.
Thank you, ma'am. Meeting is now adjourned.
Alrighty.
Thank you.
And Charlotte is bringing those packets back for you guys.